if you're new to content creation, keeping it simple is the way forward, right? Just making it super simple, and know that there's a lot of content out there, um, and it does take time to make your content amazing. So the first advice, I'm sure you share this as well, is that you got to create great content, and the content has to educate, inspire, and entertain, right? That's kind of the standard. And I think that's something that we always need to come back to, because it's such a basic fundamental, but it's the fundamental that is difficult to get, right?
It will make or break you, bro.
Yes, exactly. And so I think keep coming back to the quality of your content, in terms of whether it's doing its job of educating, inspiring, and entertaining people. That is a very important one, I would say. And this, it is an ongoing journey to improve, to when it comes to making your content great. So as long as people are getting value and people are being responding to your content, then you're doing good. And so it's a matter of improving over time. So that's kind of the first thing, is to make sure your content is amazing stuff. And I always say, there's two things, right? You want content that gets people to listen to your podcast, and so how do you attract people to actually click on it, subscribe to your podcast, listen to your show? So a lot of it comes down to creating content that solves a problem, right? It has to solve someone's problem. It has to inspire them to sort of to sort of think bigger, right? To take the next step, to sort of keep going, or to break their sort of barriers that they have in their mind, right? So those sort of thing is super important. Really think through what are the challenges your audience face, what are the issues that they want to talk about or learn about, right? So as long as you focus on those type of content, then it would start getting traction. You start attracting new listeners. And that is something that I always tell people, is to make sure when you think about either from the name of the podcast or even the episode titles, you want to make sure it's clear enough that people are going to click and people are going to subscribe, and it's simple enough that they know what they're getting when they're listening to the podcast, right? So people always they always see the title before they would go into a podcast, right? So from an experience point of view, they'll see the name of the guest or something like why you should be listening, or usually a how-to questions is good. So think about the title, spend some time on the title. Those are super important, because people always come for the content for information as well, right? So they are solving a problem. That's the other thing that I like to share, is that when you look at your podcast download numbers, for instance, right, it's important to know that there are more people that would be going to your sort of website, for instance, than people that are listening to the podcast. Usually people are searching for these questions when you sort of put yourself as an audience of your listener, right? People are having all these problems, and what are the questions they have when they're searching online? What do they type into Google, right? So if you can have those keywords as part of your title of the episode, then you will be more searched, right? So that's something people don't think about sometimes. So if you are more of an advanced podcaster, I definitely recommend people to spend more time on the title of the podcast.